Unshelling Medicine Podcast. Healthcare in the language we understand.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode. I'm excited to have this guest we spoke about a week ago. Her name is Meike. She is an executive coach and also a change agent. So her area is mindset, and she really helps executives, corporate workers, people that think they have it all, or they still have little things to tweak here and there. So I know I'll benefit from this conversation, and I would like for you to also benefit from this conversation. So please enjoy, things that we discuss, and feel free to comment and let us know if this was beneficial. Without further ado, Meike, welcome. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited for our conversation. And I'm great. It's very hot here in Athens, Greece, and I'm very happy talking to you. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for being here. I'm very grateful for you making time to talk with us. So, starting your journey as an executive coach, what interested you in doing that? I mean, there's so many other careers that you could be doing, but helping humans is something that attracted you. Could you take us on that journey?
Absolutely, yes. So that is something very, very close to my heart, as I know to yours as well, So when I was a little child, I always wanted to become a doctor,
Okay.
Flying all around the world, helping especially children, but everyone else. But my career path came a little bit different. So I had a classical business career and worked and lived all over the world. Then I thought, you know what? No, I listened to my intuition, and now I know both worlds. I studied also psychology, ancient sciences, specific, maybe weird tools I'm using. And so I combined it, and I found my passion to help people in a different way and with an holistic approach.
Yeah.
Because mind, body, soul, from my perspective, really needs to be aligned, also in the business world as a leader.
So what have you found in the leadership space? Because there is usually an outlook of sort that once somebody gets to the position of leadership, especially in the corporate world, that they have everything figured out. They're the pinnacle and the peak of their careers and personal lives. What have you seen among leaders, whether C-suite execs or team leaders or managers?
That's a great question, because I believe, and I've seen it, exactly these leaders, they, on one side, they are challenged so much right now and nowadays, geopolitically and whatever, how you name it. And at the same time, they're also humans. And as higher you come up, from my experience, they get more lonely, because with whom can you really share your anxieties, your responsibilities, your visions, ideas in nowadays? And this is, now I work a lot with people who feel like the life they build doesn't really match who they've become.
Okay.
And often they're brilliant minds, but at the same time stuck in old systems. Yeah. Meaning, the old patterns they grew up with. And I'm not blaming anything. It's just like how we grow up, and then we figure, wow, who are we? Especially as a leader, everyone says, lead authentic, be vulnerable. But do we really know who we are? It's so, and they push away burnouts or something like that. And preventing that is key in nowadays, chronic diseases. And that starts with the mind, actually, too.
Yeah. So you mentioned something about who do they talk to. Do you find it common that the higher somebody gets up on the leadership ladder, that the less trust they have in people around them, especially in the corporate world? Because corporate world can be cutthroat, right? Where there's a lot of competition.
Yes.
So is that because of the industry or just the way the corporate world is set up? or are there internal things that are triggered? We're talking mind, body, and soul kind of connection. So
Mhm.
what is the commonality with that lack of trust?
I think you made a great point. I personally believe it's the inside.
Okay.
Um, that's also the key, because you always can change and have the power of what you can change, what's inside of you,
Yeah.
independently from the circumstances. And of course, as higher as you are, there's jealousy, there's competition, there's greed, whatever. But if you are balanced with yourself, you can be a great leader, a steward for your team, and you don't get affected so much by all of that. And you're also feeling you can trust people. You have
Mm.
clarity to whom you can trust, and you find your sparring partners. But it always starts with yourself and the self-awareness. Yeah.
Right. So vulnerability is something else that you mentioned. I mean, we live in a climate where vulnerability, especially for men, is viewed as weakness, right? So how would men, any of the men listening to us having this conversation and hearing you talk about the importance of being vulnerable within your team, whether it's a team that you're leading or your cohort of other leaders, when there has been this outspoken and very loud cry that a person being vulnerable, especially a man being vulnerable, is a weakness as opposed to being viewed as the biggest strength, where
Yeah.
somebody can ask for help and acknowledge, their deficit.
Yeah, it's absolutely a strength. There's no discussion about that. It's a process, especially for men, to see that. But I would say, if you have, emotional intelligence,
Yeah.
yeah, I would rephrase vulnerability into, if you have your own strength inside, if you know your own qualities and live along these qualities, individual qualities, then there is no word like vulnerability, weakness. It's rephrased and reframed. And you become easily a better leader, meaning like a clearer leader and more empathetic leader, because you found your own inner compass. And that's also sometimes difficult to understand for strong, old fashioned, I would say, leaders. It's nothing esoteric. It's really focus on your own qualities, know yourself, and the rest comes along with it, from my
So, what
experience.
happens in a sense where somebody, we're talking about transformation, right? And this is your area of expertise.
Mhm.
So, we always strive to do better than our predecessors. So, what if somebody is in a position of being that agent of change, of leading with empathy, leading with emotional intelligence, but their immediate environment doesn't support that because of like old fashioned leadership mindset? What are the workaround? Because again, people need tools to know that they can both survive in their career of choice, right? Especially with maybe a job that they absolutely love and adore, and also be able to be effective in their roles. So,
Yeah.
what can a person do who's listening to us, man or woman, who
Mhm.
feels like, okay, I do feel within me to pull inside and utilize my emotional intelligence to be an effective leader. However, my environment does not support that.
Mhm. You can also disrupt anything if you're authentic, and you might be very, very surprised, and you can break borders, you can change the environment if you also share with everyone around the teams and listen and see them and their qualities. And this is what I'm not only doing in my coachings, but also teaching leaders how to see the qualities with these sounds esoteric. It isn't. It's an ancient science, face reading, where you really focus on the qualities of people. And if you talk to people and find their spaces within the team and make sure and live as a role model how important the culture is, especially in a crisis. And it doesn't exclude strategy. Strategy is super important. Yeah, right. But you need to have the team ready and you need to have that feeling of being one team. Otherwise, it won't work.
Okay. So still talking about success as a
Mhm.
leader. We live in a world where we are very diverse and we move from our countries of origin around the globe and we get to mix and experience different cultures, enjoy different cultures, and live within this cultural construct. How important is cultural awareness in and emotional intelligence, basically collaborating for good leadership? Is it important for an emotional intelligent leader to also be conscious of cultural nuances within an organization and also within the culture among the people under their leadership?
Absolutely, absolutely. For me, it's crucial. From
Okay.
my experiences working for international companies, also being the sparring partner for leaders, startups to big companies, it is key nowadays. And it's amazing to really look at these intercultural dynamics because it can really level up your company. And at the same time, you have to understand it because in negotiations, in strategies, you have to be aware and then use in a positive way the dynamics of every culture to really level up and leverage the diversity, which is so important nowadays. And at the same time, it has to be like a training, like some incentives, like offsites or somebody from the outside to help at the beginning to translate, but it's the intercultural awareness is huge, has a big importance from my experience.
So, what do you tell somebody who doesn't know where to start? Because from the benefit of doubt, some people grew up familiar with their own culture. However, when they find themselves in different companies where there are different cultural nuances and different people from around the globe, and
Mhm.
they don't know where to start, where should an effective leader start?
Mhm. So I think the awareness of looking at it and realizing there is some opportunity and there is some challenge is the first start at all. And then I believe really it can help tremendously to bring somebody from the outside in to really make the implicit explicit and let's just wander around, look around, and as a leader to be open for just listening suggestions and then bringing everything together.
Okay.
So it's not a huge step because if you change a culture within an organization or oneself as a leader or as an individual, there are always two kind of changes. It's the easy change where we can practice, try, give feedback. We can kind of do an Excel sheet and see, okay, what is the improvement? What's the progress? What's the learning? And then there's the hard change where it hits the subconscious, and we should ask the question, okay, if I say yes to the new thing, to what do I say no subconsciously? So it's, to get over that and do it with little steps. Even if you see things within your organization, you can't change overnight. You have to put it in little pieces and then go forward.
Yeah. So you mentioned the subconscious mind. How big is the control of the subconscious mind to our everyday lives and functioning?
Oh, from my experience, it's huge. It is huge. We have old patterns. We have a lot of wrong beliefs. And this is what I love in my work that develops within my work with leaders. Because of course I don't start and say, okay, clearly there's an old pattern, there's an old belief, wrong belief, blah, blah, blah. We work on that, but that's really the breakthrough point I always love. And this is why I'm also there for them 24/7. It's like in a hospital, it's like an emergency case because real behavior change only happens if you be there and 24/7 in these situations where the subconscious comes in, and it's proven neuroscientifically, that the old patterns are faster in your mind than in your brain than any new things you've learned.
So do you find in your coaching and with your clients that there's usually a resistance to work on the subconscious because it's familiar?
Yes, and that's human. That's normal. We are all humans, and that's human. And sometimes the pain has to be very high till something happens. And at the same time, I think, no, it can also go smoother. And the pain comes right now from the outside anyways, pressure at work, life, whatever, government, all over the world.
Yeah.
So it's a chance for us. I always see the positive side of everything. And I believe crises and challenges are always a huge opportunity. And it's all about our ego, our subconsciousness. And without that, it feels so liberating, and you get healthy body-wise, mentally-wise. Yeah.
Thank you for that. The one thing that surprises me is that a lot of people do not realize how much the subconscious controls our everyday behavior and our response to things, because we are very focused on the conscious mind, and the conscious mind cannot operate on its own without the subconscious. So it's almost like, the way I think about it is like a puppet master.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that's, perfect expression. Yeah.
It's like a puppet master. So you see the puppet moving and like, oh, that's fun. But, there's somebody else controlling the strings. So it always, like, it's so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And do you find like some of your clients are surprised by that, if you're working on their subconscious and, they practically have the mindset that they are in control of their decision and, behaviors?
Yes, absolutely. And sometimes we do some, some methods, some sessions, and I love these, oh, wow, moments. Of the people. So, okay, because we write down things, or it's never blaming or shaming, because we all have that, that's not about that. And then when they realize that it's the first step, it's not solved then, but to realize, wow, that's very powerful. And at the same time, at the end, we have the choice to be in power of that or the victim, Yeah.
How easy is it to be a victim to your subconscious?
Oh, easy. As I said, just neuroscientifically proven, all these goes faster in your brain and mind and interaction. It's so easy and fast, but there's always the opportunity to choose something else. But it's a process, of course.
Of course it is. So I know you're focused on executive leadership sometimes and how to be an effective leader. And just shifting the lens just a little bit, leadership does not only end at work. Leadership also transfers into the home environment as well. Do you find that your clients that you've worked with not only addressing the need that they came for, which is, leadership in the workplace, that a lot of the tools that they learn from coaching with you, that has actually transferred into their home environment?
Absolutely. And that is also my vision and mission, because you can't really separate the professional life from your personal life. We all really can't, if we are honest to ourselves, because we are talking about some transformation within us. And that will affect both sides, and it should affect both sides, because it should affect and it will affect our life for the better. And all these methods are not purely business, professionally used methods. Of course, it's for yourself, and you can use it in both ways in your whole life, because we are one, definitely. And I think it's important, because otherwise we wouldn't be authentic as a leader if we don't feel it as a human being, and if we don't bring it in our personal life. And what is leadership? Parenting, friendships, any relationships.
And is also that leadership understanding that there's a very thin veil between a professional and personal lives? Is it also a good leadership opportunity to recognize relationships that serve you and not serve you? And just like in the corporate world, we have the highest little fire fast methodology or business practice. Is it efficient for somebody to also employ that in their personal lives, where severing relationships that are not beneficial, whether it's a friendship, family, marriage, or dating? Is that something that people should implement, the same way you would implement that in a corporate environment, where you would let go of, say, somebody who is at a detriment or not functioning for the betterment of, the organization?
It's a great question. And I believe in the business world or in your professional world, sometimes we have to have relationships with people we might not be aligned. And
Yes.
at the same time, we should be aligned by our common values. And at the same time, we need people with specific skills we might not spend time in our personal life with, but there's respect and there's the common goal for the company, for the clients, in which industry we all work. And there should be mutual respect for sure. And then in the private personal environment, yeah, sure, it can be different, but at the same time, also, you should only be authentically, you will mutually only be close to people who share your values, common values and mutual respect. So, it's more over sympathy or something like that. But if you are aligned with yourself and you know who you are, you attract, that's just a rule, you attract the people you would feel aligned with.
Yeah.
How do you see that?
I see it exactly how you see it, because the one thing that sometimes we do as humans is we compartmentalize things, right? So we have more of a tolerance and understanding of strangers in the workplace than we do our family members or close relationships who we take for granted, right? So in the workplace, we understand like the oversight of HR. We understand the oversight of a professional behavior. We understand the appropriateness of not being physical with people. However, in the personal life, sometimes we can get very impatient with our loved ones. You hear about leaders that are exceptional in their career, and then you find out that they're abusive to their spouses or significant others, right? So, but this is somebody that may have given somebody chance after chance after chance at work. However, they're very short with, their significant others or loved ones. But also in the same vein, I believe, my personal belief is that if you have tried, because I will do my best to give a person a chance understanding being human is hard, right? And being human and understanding another human is even harder, right? So I will give you the opportunity, not necessarily making an excuse for you, but giving you an opportunity to recognize that, okay, maybe a certain behavior was not acceptable. However, let's talk about it and how can we work to make sure that doesn't happen again. However, when it becomes a pattern, right? And whether you recognize it or you don't recognize it, if it becomes a pattern after we may have had several conversations that this is inappropriate or I don't appreciate it. For my sanity and for my own personal light to continue to shine, that's a relationship that I would be more than happy not to continue, because there's no mutual respect. So there's no mutual respect, there's no mutual value. You don't value me the way that I value you by talking to you or by addressing something with you. However, it also, in a situation where, it goes back to that saying that people that mind don't matter and people that matter don't mind. So if somebody says something or somebody hears something about you from somebody else or whatever the case, and they're like, you know what? were you having a bad day yesterday? Because I heard like you lost your mind. What happened?
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, it was kind of a tough day. However, these are the situations that led up to this happening. I was like, okay, now I see it because it didn't sound like you. As opposed to, oh no, she lost her mind yesterday. Don't talk to her. I would never deal with her again without, giving you the benefit of the doubt to tell your own side of the story. Not everybody's going to do that for you, and that's okay. And I've gotten to a point of respecting people where they are. It's kind of like what Mel Robbins says, that let them, right?
Mhm.
So I've come to the point of however you present, I appreciate it and I will accept it. Because if you valued me as a person, I would, be given the opportunity to, not in a sense defend myself because I'm not interested in defending myself. However, for you to hear my own side, if you value me, and if I was wrong, for you to do that, and then you're like, okay, maybe you went a little too far, I would value that more, right? So
Yeah.
because we all are growing, we all are, nobody's perfect. People
No,
make mistakes.
keep
But when
going.
somebody actually takes the time to invest in you and value you, it's only right that you show the same value, just like we do in the workplace where we coach people, right, to
Mm.
either perform better or understand the scope of their practice better. The same thing applies in personal lives. And we tend to not value people in our personal lives the way we value maybe people at work because there's certain rules and regulations or what is appropriate and not appropriate at work.
I absolutely agree. Very, very well said. And you should incorporate it in yourself
Yeah.
and be patient. Yeah, as you said, and open minded and really listening in both worlds. And if it's one world, even better.
Yeah.
Very, very important.
It is
Mhm.
important. Generally, we just have to be conscious of ourselves and, how we treat others. Just generally being a good human being. That's all it boils
Yeah,
down to, whether at work or in your personal life.
absolutely. And it's so easy, like the golden rule, never treat anybody else as you. It's super easy, right?
It is.
Actually. So if you just bring
Yes,
it to your consciousness, I mean, easy. Sometimes we forget about it.
we do.
But the reminder, and then to say sorry and thank you and yes, and I'm sorry is a big thing, but actually, well, it should
I'm
be
sorry with action. I'm sorry with action because people feel like, okay, if I say I'm sorry and I can go back and do the same thing, then it defeats what you said.
action has to follow. Yeah, and action speaks more than words always.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Gestures and action, yeah, crucial.
Mhm. I agree. So
Mhm.
thank you so much, Minky, for being here. And there's one thing that I want you to please tell our listening audience, for anybody who absolutely loved what you said today and would like to reach out to you, to work with you and, explore your product and services, please let our audience know what your products and services are, where they can find you, how they can reach out to you.
Thank you, first of all, for having me. It was such a pleasure. And so my key offers are also online, the 24/7 coaching. We can do it via Zoom or I can come. And then I am offering special retreats, especially for the US, Canada, UK, for teams or groups on Greek islands. Because then there's just a different atmosphere and we will work through things and yeah, so they are leaving with methods for future challenges. These are my specialities, I would say, and you can reach out via my website, email, Instagram, or LinkedIn.
Beautiful. And for everybody listening, we're going to make all that information available in the show notes. So you can just click into it and, find Maike and connect with her and work with her. So I usually ask my guests to leave like a few golden nuggets for our listening audience. If you have more than two, please feel free to share because I would like whoever is listening to us to walk away with something. So what is the one thing or a few things that you would like our listening audience to not only take away from this conversation, but maybe commit to their daily lives?
I think, first of all, just be human. It doesn't have to be vulnerable or this or that definitions. Be human, listen to yourself, take a breathe in the morning or whatever. Just feel yourself, reconnect to yourself. It's easier said than done, but it helps a lot. And focus on your qualities before you go out towards the day. Yeah.
I love it. Remember, you're human. She said it. Forgive yourself. Learn to forgive yourself. We're not perfect. We falter. And forgive yourself, but do better, right? Like we talked about apologies. You can't apologize without action. Forgive yourself and then do better. All right? Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, everybody, for listening. It's a pleasure having all of you. And we are going to continue to have these important conversations that, it's something that will help all of us grow, because we are living things we're supposed to grow. We're not meant to stay stagnant. So thank you, Mikey, for being here again. I'm very grateful for your time. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Take care of yourselves. And don't forget, you're human. And everybody around you is. So don't expect perfection, right? Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to Unshelling Medicine Podcast. If you want to stay up to date with the latest episodes, make sure to hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to leave us a review. Follow us on social media at Altruistic Scribe on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. We share additional tips, updates, and health-related content that you won't want to miss. Have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes? Reach out to us at altruisticscribeco.com. We're always eager to hear from our listeners and tackle the health topics that matter most to you. Until next time, stay healthy and take care.